fireside chat with Brandon, the Chief Customer Officer at Order Grove, and Jill Ginsburg, the Director of E-commerce at the Laundress. And they're going to do a deep dive discussion into how the Laundress launched and grew their best-in-class subscription program. Brandon and Jill, we are thrilled to have you. Please just jump right in.
Thanks so much. I just wanted to take a moment and welcome everybody for attending our fireside chat, the success story, how the Laundress built a best-in-class subscription program. As introduced, I'm Brandon Ramos. I'm Order Groove's Chief Customer Officer. I've been at Order Groove for 4 years now, and I've helped enterprise, mid-size, and smaller businesses launch and optimize their relationship commerce programs. And if you don't happen to know Order Groove, we're the leader in relationship commerce space. We specialize in helping retailers and D2C brands create experiences that power subscription programs. That could be membership programs. It could also be curated experiences. And this is all in the objective of really driving dependable, recurring revenue for our customers. Today, I'm joined by Jill Ginsburg from the Laundress. Jill, I'll turn it over to you for an intro.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. So I'm Jill Ginsburg, and I joined the Laundress in 2019 as the Director of E-commerce. For those of you that don't know the Laundress, we're a female-founded brand making a lifestyle brand out of laundry, fabric care, home cleaning products. It's really about making everyday domestic chores into a luxurious experience. So thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Really, thank you for joining our panel today. I'm looking forward to our conversation. So before we jump in, I do want to remind folks, while Jill and I will cover a couple of different topics here, please do leave your questions. We'll look to reserve 5 minutes or so to talk through additional subscription questions at the end of this session. And we'll jump into those at that time. So to kind of kick us off, I wanted to start off with a little bit of context in the subscription space. Order Groove has seen subscription commerce marketplace grow astronomically in demand since really our inception. And that demand for subscription is at an all-time high. Specifically, over the last 18 months, I'd say that acceleration has been even further along that line as e-com has really been that same rocket ship growth. Now, Gartner predicts 75% of all direct-to-consumer brands will offer a subscription service by 2023, but they also predict some of those may not be as successful as others. And so with demand and competition obviously growing in this space, I think it's really a great time to take a look and say, all right, what's working in the space? Where are the leaders who are driving a program that's going to be really successful? And what are some of the things that they may not be working as well that brands and retailers can now look to avoid. So the Laundress has definitely grown a winning program. I've been excited to see their growth. And I wanted to open us up to start understanding what's driven some of that success. So Jill, I'd love to kind of hear from you to get us started along the line of really to start, what drove you to consider subscription? How did you get started? If you could give us a little bit of a background in your experience, I think that would help for a lot of context.
Yeah. So as a laundry detergent and home cleaning product, we're fulfilling an immediate need for our customers. And we know we have a really loyal customer base, but they're not necessarily loyal to where they purchase it. Mm-hmm. So if they're out of the product, they're going to buy our product somewhere else, or worst case, they're going to go out and buy a competitor because they need it right now to do their kids' laundry. They need to clean the bathroom. Like, you can't wait for it. So we really wanted to have a subscription program to make sure that customers had that set it and forget it and weren't out of our product when they really needed it. We tried to do it ourselves, which I know a lot of people do try it first to do. It was a small program on our site. It was only a select amount of SKUs and maybe 10, whereas we have over 150 SKUs. Mm-hmm. And it didn't give customers the ownership to change. They would have to call us if they wanted to cancel it. So it really just wasn't ideal. And we knew it wasn't as successful as it could be, which is when we started to look at solutions to help us automate it and really take the heavy lifting off of our small team.
Mm-hmm. That couple of things that you said there really resonated with me. I think on the one side, it's definitely, we've seen plenty of clients who start on their own. I would say more than 60% of Order Group's client base has run some sort of subscription program in the past before they start there. And oftentimes it can take a great partner to really help drive some of those pieces in play. I'd also say, as you think about the number of subscriptions that are available, I think that really starts to play a bit to like understanding your customer base, and the fact that I think things have changed over time on whether they're willing or not to really replenish via a subscription program. The last thing I'd say, and I'd love to hear a little bit more deeply from you. I mean, when I first joined Order Group, many years ago, I would say some brands and retailers were a little concerned that subscription was just something they thought would happen naturally. And you mentioned the fact that actually what you were seeing was, no, if they couldn't get the product or for whatever reason it wasn't in play, there was a concern that they could jump over to a competitor, or that they could fulfill in some other fashion that's not accretive to your business. And you saw subscription as a remedy to that type of concern. I definitely think that's been at play and it has changed over the past couple of years as people have really come to embrace the fact that there's not a lot of loyalty unless you do things to drive that loyalty. Is that what you found as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And we are unique in the marketplace in that some of our products, no one else makes a wash just for wool and cashmere and certain products. So we are lucky in that sense that they have to come to us for it. But for your everyday laundry needs, we knew that if they're out of it, they could go run and get tied. And we don't want them to do that. We want them to always come to us. So we saw subscription as a retention opportunity, and in certain cases, even an upsell opportunity.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense. You mentioned a little bit about early days with your subscription program. Can you take us through a little bit of what your subscription journey looked like along the line as your program started to develop?
Yeah, and from the beginning, when we first launched it, like I said, it was just a few SKUs before Order Groove. It was few SKUs and it was doubled up. So it was not giving customers the flexibility they need. Order Groove is, now someone can just go to any PDP on our site and click for a subscription and get it again in 60 days. So when we first launched it, it didn't give us that flexibility. And again, the customer having to pick up the phone and call to make a change or to even cancel it if they wanted to. Somebody's on hold with customer service, they can't get in touch, it's a weekend, it wasn't a great user experience. So we looked at Order Groove as an opportunity to really make it easier for the customer, make it easier for us. And now that we do have this launch subscription program, we're looking at how can we optimize it and make it even better for them.
Yeah, that certainly resonates. I mean, I would say on two fronts. One, I think it's great when that type of a program is easy for the merchant to really administer, so that you've got something that can be scalable for your organization. But you mentioned, the ease for the customer. As I look at subscription programs today, some of the best value I find is that the end consumer is able to really have a frictionless buying experience that they can set up and trust and not need to manage. The fact that the skids are greased for commerce, it really starts to make it a win-win for the consumer and for the merchant. Great right. Experience.
And we also love that, before, customers weren't communicated if something was out of stock, their subscription wasn't coming. Customers always want to be proactively communicated to if there's a problem, and we couldn't get ahead of that. So This is, again, a solution for that has been really great. Your subscription, we're out of stock, would you like to swap it? Or, would you like to just delay it for 5 days? All of those are automatic, and that's amazing.
Yeah, that's perfect. And actually, perfect segue into kind of another topic I'd love us to get into, which is kind of the strategy behind subscription. So if I can posit a quick fact right now, I'd say customer acquisition costs for many merchants out there is really, really high. It can be 5 to 25 times more expensive to acquire a new customer versus retaining a customer. And I think subscription programs can really help offset that CAC by maximizing customer value. So if I think about the 3 pillars of subscription: attracting subscribers, retaining subscribers, growing purchase AOV, and in terms of each purchase within a subscription, as those kind of major pillars. What's been some of the successes that the Laundress has experienced? You talked a little bit about adding items to an order or dealing with an out of stock flow and really bringing those forward. If you think about like attracting subscribers as the first one of these, where have you seen success in your own subscription program?
For us, it's really been about the retention of the customer. I mean, it's for our price point, $20 laundry detergent. It might take someone a little bit to commit to that, and then to commit to subscribing it, they need to try it first.
Yeah.
So it's really about retention and keeping them coming back for more. And we've seen an increase in LTV. We've seen an increase in average orders per year. And that's really been in the past year, which we've launched subscriptions since then. So we know there's a direct correlation to that, and we just want to keep continuing that. And we're looking constantly at ways to optimize that.
Yeah. And when you enter into subscription with your end consumer, what kind of benefits are you giving to them in the program? How are you making that proposal when someone first sees the program? What are they thinking through when they decide whether or not they want to subscribe?
We're really incentivizing them from a cost savings perspective. We allow customers to get a % off tiered based on their units per transaction in the subscription. So we do 5% for one, 10% for two, 15% for three or more. And then any subscription is free shipping, which this day and age with D2C and e-commerce, customers want free shipping. It's expected. I hate paying for shipping at this point, which most people do.
Yeah.
So we're really trying to enlighten them on the value add and show the cost savings that they can get long term, and the set it and forget it ease.
Yeah, that really resonates. I noted on your site you've got a special subscription section of your site, so the laundress.com/subscription, that really lays this out nicely for the customers. And I think what you talk about there, in my mind, a lot of subscription programs benefit from this. There's a sense of, great, when I join subscription, there's gonna be a laundry list of, excuse the pun, perks for my program, right? I'm gonna be able to get free shipping because I'm part of the club. I'm gonna be able to see additional savings because I've made the commitment here. And I think that trade-off can really start to help. Are there other ways that you feel like you've differentiated your subscription program, either from others that you've seen or from your past experience, that you felt has really driven your success?
We've also integrated into our loyalty program, which I think has been really helpful. We have a points-based loyalty program with different tiers. Make a purchase, get X amount of points, and also for signing up, et cetera. But we've also integrated Order Groove into that as well, so they get bonus points for their subscription items. So I think just making it part of our everyday vernacular, and how can we push subscriptions further? How can we push it to the forefront of the customer's mind so that they're always reminded of it and aware of it, has been key for us.
Mm-hmm. I definitely, I think that really resonates. I mean, to your first point, I think there's such a great interplay between subscription and, I'll call it traditional loyalty programs or points-based loyalty programs. And I think, sometimes I work with clients where they worry these things may be in conflict. In my mind, I actually think they really complement each other well, right? There's when you take on subscription, you're basically breaking off a public segment that says, these folks are making a commitment to ultimately be like a partner of mine. We should absolutely be driving benefits. And I think the way you use your loyalty points program as like a multiplier effect for that customer segment, I think really works. And I think that's exactly the type of thing that helps enhance retention. We've seen loyalty rewards can increase subscriber retention as much as 10% across the board. So I think that definitely drives a big piece of this.
Yeah, to us, our subscriber is really our core customer. How can we treat them more? We know they're going to come back and shop with us again. So what other benefits can we give them? And we're looking at that as well.
I mean, pulling back strategically, that's very much when I think about what my customer success team looks to talk with clients about. It's really, if you operate from the perspective of, if the subscriber is your VIP customer, how best you entice them to stay. I think you're really, that's what's going to set you on the path of being able to drive a real high retention rate within your subscription programs. You talked a little bit previously earlier in our chat about customer communication. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about just go into a bit more detail in your program today. Where are you driving customer communication that you feel enhances your subscription program currently?
Yeah, when we first launched, we communicated it in a big way, of course, in email communication to our top customers, in our homepage, on every PDP. And now as we're in, just the day-to-day of maintenance and upgrading, we are optimizing anywhere we do communicate it. So on every PDP that a subscription is an option, it's listed right next to the add to bag as an option with the drop down of how many 30 days, 60 days, etc. We give them another opportunity at their cart so that it reminds them again, they can do a one-time purchase or a subscription purchase. And then I believe it's also even in our mini cart. So we're trying to hit them over the head with it without taking away from their overall purchase experience. And then there's always that additional messaging in our email and our social, pushing our auto replenishment program wherever we can, trying to show them the value add that they get from it.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, I continue to be surprised sometimes, even with communication, that awareness of a subscription program can not always be there, especially if folks are just encountering it on a PDP. I think when you talk about driving that in your social channels or doing other marketing around the program, I think that can really help on the acquisition side when you think about acquiring a new subscriber. In terms of either AOV driving activity, so when you think about one of the best things about subscription is you have a relationship with the customer and you're going to be shipping them something. Anything that you've done in terms of leveraging that to increase average order value when you think about your program today?
I think that's something we're still prioritizing right now. We're looking at the upsell opportunities that Order Groove allows. Someone's reminded, hey, you've got a subscription coming next week. If you add anything to it, you'll still get a discount on those items as well. So that's an area we haven't had an opportunity to optimize yet, and we're looking at this year. So that'll be next on our roadmap.
Fantastic. I'm happy to help on that front if I can. That's great. Okay, so if we were to shift gears a little bit as we go into kind of the final minutes of our discussion, I'd love to talk a little bit about 21 and beyond. So despite things opening up this summer post-COVID, eMarketer still predicting e-commerce to grow another 13.7% year over year after like insane growth even earlier. How are online D2C sales and subscriptions faring for you in 21? And can you give us a sense of, when you think about subscriptions longer term at the Laundress, what does that start to look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, we launched last year in 2020, right when COVID hit. So it was unfortunately a great time to be in subscription and a great time to be D2C home cleaning product. So for us, 2020 in general was an amazing year and we saw excellent growth. And I think we all were a little worried when we went into 2021 and things started to get a little bit back to normal. Are these customer purchasing behaviors going to change? Is this here to stay? That's still TBD, but we're still seeing a continual growth. So that gets me really excited that customer behaviors have changed a little bit and they are used to maybe shopping for laundry detergent online, whereas before that was something they picked up in their local grocery store. So for us, subscription long-term is really about optimization and testing. What other things can we test? I'm a big fan of A/B testing, as my team knows. What data can we pull from this? Why are we making this decision? What factors are we, what's the strategy here? So for us long-term, it's about what else are we testing? What else are we optimizing? Like I said, the AOV and the upsell, how else can we do that better as we look at the end of 2021? And where else can we push subscription that our customers are going to appreciate without annoying them of telling them about it too much?
Yep, definitely makes sense. On your point around just kind of general trend, I think it's been very similar from my perspective. I think for a long time, there was a bit of like, is this here to stay, or is this only related to pandemic shopping behaviors? And, through a number of different categories, whether that be, pet, whether that be even baby, cosmetics, certainly in the cleaning space, I would say that we are seeing generally this same trend really being normalized, where subscription replenishment this is such a time saver for me, such a convenience play, that I don't want to let this go. I think there are some channels where behavior shifts are affected a little differently. I've seen in some instances coffee subscription. If you had the subscription coming to your home and now you're going back to work and you're getting your coffee at work, sometimes that can be a little affected. But on the whole, I've really seen a major shift in the market. So I'm glad you're seeing that as well. In terms of some of the things you talk about in terms of optimization and A/B testing, I think this is absolutely, like, from my perspective, where you want to concentrate. I sometimes talk to my team as, let the data do the talking. That A/B testing can be the thing that really helps, because as much as there can be a playbook for subscription, I also think it's about matching subscription with that merchant's consumer base. And in that way, not all subscription programs will be the same. I think you've done a tremendous job at starting to match what the Laundress customers are interested in, and keeping them really loyal on that front. In terms of other success criteria that we didn't get a chance to jump into today, Jill, is there anything else that to you is an absolute standout in terms of what's helped you win with subscriptions as you put it forward in this past year?
I think for us, it's really been the ease of use. Like I said, we have a very small team. We're very nimble, which is amazing, but we're constantly pulled in so many different directions. So having this program where it's not heavy lifting on our team and we can just now set it and optimize it, for us has been the most successful part. And I think, like I said, as we look to the future, we're going to look at other things with your team's help. What are other teams doing that's working for them? Can we optimize it for our site? Does that make sense for laundry? Does it not? We look at a lot of beauty brands. What are they doing from a subscription standpoint that we can apply to us as well? But really, at the end of the day, just looking at what's right for your business and going from there.
Yeah, great. Makes sense. Excellent. Joe, this has been a great conversation. I really want to thank you. Order Group has really enjoyed working with you and the partnership that we have to drive subscription. I do want to open it now for a few questions coming in from our audience. Just coming in, I'll take the first one. What are retention rates like? Do you notice that retention drops off faster in earlier cycles? Or what techniques do you use for preventing attrition from cycle to cycle? Jill, do you want to take that one? I'm happy to drive it as well. But Jill, if you've got a quick look on retention rates and what it's like in terms of dealing with order over order retention, I think this is a great one.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was something we were concerned about as well, that someone was maybe going to sign up for the discount and then immediately cancel their subscription. And that's something we're still always concerned about, because there are people out there that absolutely are going to do that, but we're not seeing it. We're seeing, a very low churn rate overall from our subscription. And I would say to those who are maybe worried about what we were worried about, there's always going to be that 10% of people that take advantage no matter what you do. And you have to look towards your bigger business goals. And for us, this did that.
Yeah, I think that definitely resonates. I mean, in my mind, retention is always going to be a bit of the fight, and I think it can be different depending upon the channels that are out there. Oftentimes, I find in many programs that the key element that's being fought is fear of being overstocked, or the customer actually falling into a state of being overstocked on the product. And ultimately, like, I don't think pantry loading is the key. Really, where you want to get to is, if that customer is overstocked, let's allow them to skip really easily. Let's almost, if you can, and this is a product set that Order Group is bringing to market, let's try to predict that. Let's use some artificial intelligence or some machine learning to say, hey, it's likely that this customer is going to fall into that state. Let's see what we can do, whether it's a skip opportunity or the ability to swap products if that's better from a flavor profile. I think those things often resonate with me in terms of how to fight churn.
Yeah.
Okay, jumping into a few other questions just from the audience today. What was the Laundress's biggest challenge with its subscription program from the start? Jill, any sense that on how you take a look at that?
For us, it was integration, to be completely honest. We are on a custom platform, which has its benefits and its negatives. So because we're not on something like a Shopify or a Magento where it's straight out of the box, that was a concern for us. But the Order Groove technical team really took on all the heavy lifting there. So it wasn't as much of a concern for us once we got started.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm glad we could be assistance there. In terms of advice that you'd have, this is another question coming in. What advice would you have for a brand that is just starting their subscription program? Anything that if you had to prioritize one element, what advice would you be giving there?
I would prioritize testing. I mean, that was something that we really focus on as a brand and still do in all areas of our site. But we looked at testing, having the opt-in be automatic for subscription versus the one-time testing, what offers are working, what's not, and keep testing, because you can test something once and find it works, and then the next year it doesn't. So keep that testing going.
Yeah, I'm really glad you said that one. I mean, it's one of those things where I've seen changes in consumer beliefs and understanding of subscription programs even within the last 24 months. And so the fact that you may have tested something earlier on, I think you're absolutely right to say, hey, that may not have resonated with my base then. It is something I still need to consider, especially if that's a practice that you're seeing within the subscription space. That absolutely stands out to me. All right, I think we've got time for one last question. How can you determine if your product is a good fit for subscriptions? Jill, I don't know if you have thoughts on that piece.
For us, it was about making sure the customer had it and needed a set it and forget it opportunity for them. So I really think it depends on what the product is that you're looking to offer subscription for. And also, overall looking at your P&L, running the numbers, making sure it makes sense for you financially to have this additional technology. And for us, thankfully, it really did.
Yeah, I agree. I do see one more question coming in from Vanessa on a similar vein about which categories work. I mean, in my mind, one of the main ways I look to do this is really to open it up as an option for your consumer base. Sometimes there are categories that we wouldn't expect to work that actually do really well. Ultimately, again, I think data can be the guide here. And if you are seeing repeat purchases today on a specific item, those are absolutely items that you would prioritize first. But I don't think there's a lot of harm in opening up the offering of subscription to start in order to allow those customers to react to that offer and give you the data point that you're looking for. All right. Jill, again, I want to thank you so much for the time today. I believe we are at our time. I've really enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Brandon and Jill. Order Groove, the Laundress. I think I got that wrong the first time, so I wanted to make sure I got it right. Order Groove. Some highlights from the conversation that I took away were you need to be intentional in order to drive customer loyalty because it's not just a given. And having a frictionless buying process helps contribute to that. I definitely agree with that. So thank you both so much.